Oh. Oh. Hi. Am I supposed to hear it?
No. Hmm. What is it supposed to say to you?
Hi, my name is Kathy Allen, and I am about to do my presentation to Professor Doolin. And I have with me my three audience members. The first one is, will you please introduce yourself?
Hello there. I'm Walt Whitfield. To my left, we have.
John Walters. And then there's Danny Allen. Yeah. That was Danny Allen.
We have Danny Allen also with us. He's very, very shy. I apologize for that, but I am going to go ahead and start my presentation at this time. Now, we all know about the rising cost of gasoline and oil in our country, and so with those rising costs, it is imperative that we begin to examine alternate energy sources. So my topic today is ethanol, which is an alternate energy source. There are several different types of energy, such as solar energy, wind power, etc. But I have chosen ethanol because I believe it is the most feasible source. Now, before beginning my research, I needed to define what ethanol was. I'm going to make it short and brief. So in layman terminology, ethanol is no more than a corn-based product which comes from fermented manure, which is produced by cattle. Now, it can be used in conjunction with gasoline, or it can be used solo. But whichever method we use, what it does is it lowers harmful emissions. I need to say that ethanol does have its pros and cons, and I decided to focus on our most prominent decision makers to get a sense of their perspectives on the subject. So I began, of course, with President Barack Obama's outlook, because his decisions will have the greatest impact and influence on our country. Now, the president strongly supports the use of ethanol because corn grows in the United States, and this would relieve us of our dependence on foreign countries. And at the same time, it would help with our national security. He also justified his vote for the Bush administration 2005 energy bill, which was favorable to the oil industry on the grounds that it contains subsidies for ethanol and other forms of alternative energy. The president's support for ethanol is also shared by many farm state senators. Senator Hillary Clinton jumped on board when she learned that the ethanol industry was taking an interest in New York State. But President Obama's critics argue that the president is overly supportive of the ethanol issue. And they believe that it is because Chicago is what they call the corn capital, and it stands to benefit most from the boom. But then President Obama, of course, refutes this comment by responding and saying, and I am paraphrasing, that his primary concern is what is best for our country. And he went on to add that right now we are sending billions of dollars to some of the most hostile nations on earth. And then I turn to Senator John McCain, who agrees with the president that it is critical that we acquire new energy security and then that way slow down the carbon emissions, which are believed to contribute to global warming. But, of course, Senator McCain, being a free trade advocate, opposes the 54 cents a gallon charge, which is the cost to import ethanol made from sugarcane, which he says has more of an energy punch than corn-based ethanol and is cheaper to produce. Then I truly turned my focus and decided to look at what impact the use of corn would have on the farmers and how it would affect them. Now, just last week, May 6, 2011, the cost of corn took a dramatic increase. But Bob Stallman, who's the president of American Farm Bureau, says that rather than looking at ethanol as the reason for the increase of corn prices, we should focus on what's really driving demand, which are energy prices, weather-related issues, and a growing global middle class. Stallman concluded his comments by stating that corn prices will spike at high levels regardless of whether corn is used for energy or food, simply based on the laws of supply and demand. And then finally, in finalizing my research, I chose to examine how ethanol is currently being used throughout the world. Honestly speaking, I personally don't know a lot, did not know a lot about ethanol, but I did visit one of my gasoline mobile stations and I saw something very unfamiliar on the gas pump, and I believe it read E45 or something of that nature. And I went on to ask the clerk what was going on, and she said that this was a new type of gas that was being introduced into the United States. And it is anticipated that soon many vehicles will be using that type of fuel. Now, I have learned that Brazil has the largest single use of ethanol. More than 20% of Brazilian cars use 100% ethanol as fuel, which includes ethanol-only engines and flex fuel engines. Ethanol is also used as a rocket fuel in rocket-powered racing aircrafts. And over time, it is believed that a material portion of the 100 billion gallons per year market for gasoline will be replaced with fuel ethanol. In conclusion, it will be interesting to see which form of alternate energy America decides to use, but it is imperative that we make a decision soon. Thank you for listening. I know that this cam ends momentarily, but I will turn at least to one of my viewers and see if there are any questions relative to this subject that I can answer for them, and just get a general glimpse of what you felt about the presentation. Start with you, John.
Oh, first of all, great.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
I did have a question. I'd like to know that with the fuel turning towards the use of ethanol, when do you think it will be fully mainstream?
Well, I personally can't answer that question. In my research, I didn't find any definite date for the mainstreaming, but it did say, as I said, that this was forthcoming soon. So I would imagine a few years with the way things are progressing in America, that it shouldn't take very long. And because it is going to be more economically feasible with the use of the newer cars that we have, I suspect that this will happen sooner than we think. As for you, Walter, you have any question regarding?
Well, one question I guess would be, I think you answered all my questions.
Well, thank you very much. And I thank you for listening, Professor Doolin. And I hope that this satisfies your interest and our interest, and you've gained some knowledge regarding ethanol. And thank you for allowing me the opportunity to do this presentation. Have a good day. Bye-bye. Say bye, Danny. Okay.
Can't cut it off.
Yeah, okay. How do I?
Is it off yet?
Oh, do I cut it off?
You
The button.